Hello plant people, it's Nora, the Leca Queen. Welcome to yet another Q&A session. I know, I'm so sorry, I haven't done one of these in a very long time. What can I say? Life. But I've got a very nice Q&A session for you today, and at the same time as I'm doing my Q&A, I'm going to be repotting some really awesome plants that I got from my friends Plants by Callum and Kate and Finn versus Plants. Some of you may have seen the post I did on my community tab where, you know, it was a lovely picture of me going, ah, with some gorgeous bloke, and he had these amazing plants in his house. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how awesome this guy's house is. It's just absolutely amazing. But long story short, I'd actually bought two plants from these guys when they were having a sale, Kate and Callum. And I took that, I was like, yeah, no, don't post the plants out. I'll come out and see you. That will be my opportunity to come and visit, which I did like 2 months later. And instead of coming home with my two plants, I came home with like 15 or I don't know how many plants. They were so generous. It was so lovely looking at their spaces. And yeah, let's get into it. So first question, where do you get your earrings from? Oh my gosh, I think I'm wearing an anthurium today. I love planty earrings. They are the absolute best. I think they just speak to who I am. They speak to who I love. So I always try to have plant earrings on. You guys need to keep an eye out if you haven't noticed. I've got my earrings on rotation. I've got about probably 15 plant earrings, different plant species. I absolutely love them. And I get them from all sorts of places. I mean, one person wrote to me and said, can you please send me a postal address? I'd love to send you something. And she says, I saw these earrings and I thought of you. So, you know, I'll never forget that. Thank you. But I'm always on the lookout. So if you come across any plant earrings that you think I might love, let me know. And of course, you know, the bigger, the better, because I'm all about big. I don't like itsy bitsy earrings. So in fact, these particular earrings I got off Etsy. I found a seller on Etsy. She was making these earrings and I said to her, can you make them bigger? I want mine way bigger. And she made them bigger. I think I bought like 15 or 12 earrings from her. And yeah, that's kind of where I get my earrings. I get my earrings from everywhere, literally everywhere. Okay, I need to stop talking and actually get repotting because we'll never get done. This is a Hoya passiflora. So before I actually started doing this video, I decided to actually take a lot of these plants out of the soil and rinse them off before doing this, because I reckon we'd be here forever because there was quite a number of plants. So these plants are actually ready to go into Leca as we speak. So I'll just be doing that while we go through the questions. So the next question is, and did you start your indoor plant journey with soil first? Oh, for sure, definitely. I definitely started off with soil because I'll tell you, I didn't even know what Leca was until quite a long time into my plant journey, to be honest. I was having struggles with my Hoyas. I couldn't get my Hoyas to keep their little baby leaves. And I realized that the reason that was happening was because I was very inconsistent with my watering. So I was trying to find out how I can become more consistent. And in that, trying to find out how to become more consistent in my watering, I came across Leca. And as they say, the rest is history. I came across Leca and I absolutely loved it. It worked really well for my plants. My Hoyas just went gangbusters. And so I'm a Hoya girl now. So that's my little Hoya passiflora in Leca. What made you passionate about changing to Leca? Well, I think I answered that one. My struggling Hoyas are what made me passionate about it. But yeah, after that, I think things have just gone really well. So that's what I do. All right, now, actual next question. Do you ever grow in just water without Leca? If so, how long do your plants grow or thrive? So the simple answer is no, I don't ever grow in just water. And I think the other issue is, what exactly is just water? What do you mean when you say just water? Is it just water with no nutrients, or water with some nutrients and then without the Leca? So yeah, I would never put a plant in water without nutrients. If I'm putting a plant in leca, in water, even just to propagate, I always have my Clonix clone solution, because I'm of the camp that plants are living beings and they need food to live. And plants are never at any point in nature just feeding on water. Actually, scratch that. There is no feeding on water, is there? When you're just on water, it's just water. Water is just hydrogen and oxygen, nothing else in there. There's no nutrition. So I always have my plants with some kind of nutrition. And without leca, no, I'm not really the water growing type only person. I only do that when I'm doing the long method. If I'm using the long method, then I'll have my plants living in that Clonix clone solution until I think the roots are good enough to go into leca, and then I put it in the leca. I think it's just so much easier that way. So yeah, that's what I do. So I'm trying to find the label for this plant, because, oh, there we are. Because I was really good. I got off my bum and I actually made labels, printed ones for my plants this time. So this is my Hoya Finlaysonii Malaysia. I actually have this one, kind of forgot when I was being offered it. So now I have two. And at some point I'm going to put the two of them together and they're going to be magical. So that's my Hoya Finlaysonii Malaysia. Next question. I'd love to know about any Hoya fails. What are your plants that you tried to transition but didn't work? Or those that took practice to get right? Any that you just gave up on trying to grow in leca and that you won't even try? Well, yeah, I don't know. That's a bit of a hard question, to be honest, because what I find is a plant might actually transition to leca no problem, but then it's how it actually gets to stay living in leca and the conditions that I'm able to provide. And that's where things go a bit crazy. And I'll tell you, plants that I have struggled with are strings of anything. You know, I don't have any strings of anything at the moment. I did have a string of pearls that it transitioned well. It was good. And then it got spider mites, and that was the end of that. I could not revive it after the spider mite treatment. It just wouldn't. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And so I haven't been brave enough to try that again. It's definitely possible. I've seen people grow them, so it's possible. It works, but not for me. Another one, maidenhair fern. That one was good, actually. It transitioned really well, and it started living in leca. And again, it was attack of the spider mites. And you know, I think I probably need to find a different method of how to treat spider mites. Although, to be fair, at the time I had these plants, I was a very new plant parent. I was very new to growing in leca, so I probably had no idea what I was doing. And so, you know, can't really blame the plants for checking out. So yeah, what other plants? Maybe peperomias. I mean, I personally haven't had any problems with peperomias, but people tell me that they do. So I don't know. Maybe. But never try again. Nah, that's not how I roll. I just keep trying. That's my motto. If a plant isn't thriving in leca, the thing I think to myself is, what am I doing? What have I done, or what have I not done to provide the conditions that this plant needs? Because invariably that's what the problem is. I have not provided the conditions that the plant needs to thrive. End of. And once I can figure that out, then that plant will thrive. So yeah, so I'm not giving up. I love it, and I love doing stuff and experimenting with things. So not too many of you have to. I love experimenting. So I'll keep trying and I'll keep trying until that plant actually submits, because my take on things is leca is just a medium, right? It's like when you're growing a plant in soil. You don't think, why isn't this plant growing in the soil? There's something wrong with the soil. No, it's the exact same concept. So I'm trying to figure out, what conditions haven't I provided? Because when you're growing in soil, you're always thinking, do I need to put more fertilizer? Do I need to give it more light? That's what we're always thinking. We're never thinking there's something wrong with the soil. So there's nothing wrong with the leca. It's just always something wrong with what I'm doing. All right, that is my Hoya linearis, and there's quite a number of them in there. This is going to be a beautiful full plant. I can't wait to see her grow. Might be a silly question. There are no silly questions. There's no silly questions. Trust me, no silly questions. But when you use a moss pole with leca, does the moss absorb all the reservoir water? The answer is no, it doesn't absorb all the reservoir water. Look at that. Ha! That is some fancy syngonium. And this one's already actually, I had it living in my Clonix clone solution for a little bit, but I'm going to put it straight into leca, right? Yeah, I'm going to do that because I can. Maybe I shouldn't because I've only got the one, but maybe what I should do is make 2 cuttings, but maybe I should do that. Yes, let's. Why not? Got a clean pair of scissors here. This is my Syngonium auritum. Syngonium auritum. I've never heard of it. It looks magnificent. 2 points here. I might just chop this up and make 2. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put these ones directly into leca and see how they go. Yes, anywho, I was telling you why the sphagnum moss does not absorb the nutrient. So the reason it doesn't is when I'm potting up my plants on a pole in leca, I don't have the sphagnum moss going all the way down to the bottom of the moss pole. I do stop the sphagnum moss right at the level there. Like if this is my pot, I've got my leca there, I've got my moss pole up there. The moss will stop there, and at the bottom will either be just, I'll just fold it up and tuck it in really nicely. I'll put a link to a video above that shows you exactly how I do that. And some people actually put leca in the moss pole. That's another thing you could do, but you're definitely not putting your moss all the way down to the bottom of the pot. Because if you do that, yeah, of course, the moss will absorb all the nutrients in your reservoir and your plant is going to get root rot, and then you'll probably turn around and say that using leca is bad, which is not true. So that is my Syngonium artium. No, hang on. That is my Syngonium auritum. Syngonium auritum over there. How beautiful is that? She's just a gorgeous, gorgeous plant. Okay. Do you ever find healthy bugs in your leca plants? Yes, I do. I do. And I'm thinking you're talking about the springtails. First time I saw them was in my philodendron mame. And back then, I was like, what? What are these things? This is how uninitiated I was. I didn't even know what springtails were. And then I found out that springtails are good. They're good bugs. So yeah, I do. And you do want to find springtails in your plants, because if you do, things are going really, really well and they're eating up all that dead gunk and your plant is probably going to thrive. This is my Hoya melliflua. That is my Hoya melliflua. Oh, looking so precious. It goes in my little pot. In you come, darling. That is a bit little. I don't like that one. It's a bit too little because there we go. Oh, hang on. Roots keep dropping off. Bloody hell. That is not good. Okay, there we go. But even if they drop off, actually, this is a Hoya. Even if all the roots drop off and it just goes back to being a cutting and I put it in the leca, it's still going to thrive. It's still going to do really, really well. I did an experiment once, and I'll link the video above, where I completely took off all the roots of the Hoyas. And I'm telling you, they did so beautifully. Those Hoyas are still alive today. Blew my mind. So, with Hoyas, you don't have to suffer with soiled roots, as they're called. You can get them brand new. That is my Hoya melliflua. How old are you and how did you start your plant journey? How old am I? That is a very interesting question. Well, actually, when I saw this question, I was in 2 minds as to whether to answer it or not. But, Age ain't nothing but a number. And I do think I am slightly blessed in the genetics department because also black don't crack. But seriously though, I'm actually 46 years old. I turn 47 pretty soon, which I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy or sad about, but all I know is 50 is the new 40, or 50 is the new 20, or 50 is the new whatever. So, my life's just beginning. I feel like my life is just beginning, and I'm really, really happy. My kids are a little bit grown. I still have my daughter turns 7 on Sunday. I still have a 7-year-old, but that's okay. My kids are growing and I can do the things that I love. This is now my time. How did I get into plants? I think I have always been into plants. I've always loved gardening. I've always loved taking care of plants. I remember like one of my first plants being an African violet when I was a young girl. And I remember propagating it, and I was water propagating it. And I was so proud of myself when I propagated that plant. Take a look at that. How precious is that anthurium? Oh my God. Oh my God. I cannot wait. Anthurium crystallinum species, and that's a pure one, so I'm told. Anthurium crystallinum, how beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So anyway, yeah, I've always loved plants, and then, life happened. You go off, you go to university, you have children, and that kind of all went by the wayside. And then I just started slowly getting plants again. And then COVID happened, obviously, and things just exploded from there. And here we are. Can all alocasia plants be placed in leca or pond? Of course, there had to be one, didn't there? There just had to be an alocasia question. Can all of them be placed in leca or pond? I want to say yes. I mean, if you followed me for some time, you will know that I have a love-hate relationship with alocasias, right? It's absolutely love-hate. I can grow some beautiful alocasias, but the second the season turns, my alocasias just turn against me and hate me. So, I don't know. My answer is yes, they all can. What happens afterwards is between you and the plant gods. Next question. If I mix a batch of nutrient solution but only use some of it, can it sit in the jug for a few days before I use the rest? For sure. For sure it can sit in the jug for a few days. I have nutrient solutions dotted all over my house at all times. It's really hard to start mixing stuff up every time you need to do stuff, I find. And the way my life goes, I have these incidental moments of plant care, right? So when you've suddenly got an opening to do something and it's only like 10 minutes, right? The nutrient solution needs to be just there. Look at that. How beautiful is that anthurium? I got that one from Callum. And this one is, hang on, where are you? It's an anthurium forgetii cross called a hungry jack. It's a hungry jack. It's called a hungry jack. Named by whoever created the hybrid. But yeah, love it, love it, love it. Look at how bumpy that is. It's just so beautiful. When you do mix up your nutrient solution, you want to keep it in a nice, cool, dark spot so it's not degrading. How long can you keep it for? A few days for sure, that's fine. People have asked me if you can keep it for 2 weeks, if you can keep it for a month. Look, the answer to that question is I really don't know. Until you actually go and do a degradation test or something, I don't think there's anyone who can actually confidently tell you that keep your nutrient solution mixed for 6 days. And then on day 6, there's degradation of this or there's interaction with that. I would love someone to tell me. If you know someone who's got that information, let me know, please. I'd love to have it. But the way I look at it, I'm like, you know what? I've mixed the stuff. It's generally okay. The plants will generally be okay. Most of my plants do get fresh nutrient solution at some point anyway. I have very little left over, so I don't stress about that. So probably if you feel you are going to be stressing about that, don't mix too much. You'll know that you've got like 20 plants or whatever. And if you mix 5 liters, that's enough for your 20 plants. So mix 5 liters, or maybe mix 6 liters just in case. So just sort of assess and see how you go. But otherwise, I wouldn't stress about it. I certainly don't. I like this little baby. Look at this one. How cool is this anthurium? How cool. I'm thinking this one needs a bigger pot. Her roots are just everywhere. Actually, no, that's fine. Scoot you all in there. Go in, go in, go in, go in. Oh my goodness, there. Why am I using my hands? Okay, that's an Anthurium polyschistum. I think I'm saying it correctly. An Anthurium polyschistum. Look at that. Looks like a little palm tree. It's going to be amazing. Oh my gosh. Once I get a root from propagating a Monstera, can it go directly into Leca? I bought a Monstera plant. It's full. How soon can I take it out of its soil and put it in Leca? Well, the answer to that, my good friend, for me anyway, is the minute a plant comes into my house, it's not about the soon is not how soon about the plant. It's how soon do I have time to take it out of the soil and put it in the Leca? Because as a general rule, I don't have plants living in soil in my home. So based on that theory, I take the plants out immediately. I get them. Have I had any issues with this? Not at all. It hasn't been a problem with the plants that I have. And certainly if you've had your plant root after you've propagated it, I don't see that it's a problem to put it up directly into Leca. Your plant should be fine. Of course, I'm saying all this not having seen your plant at all. But yeah, it should, in theory, be fine. That looks like it's a Hoya jungle green. It looks like a jungle green. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to check because some of these plants, it's a bit sus. I do have a picture with all the labels on there, which I can't access right now. So, but I'll make sure that they're all correct. My Colocasia mojitos are thriving and multiplying. Yay, well done you. But the beautiful intense black variegations are no more. Just a darker minty green on every one. Oh, that sucks. What can I do to get the color back? That's a bit of a difficult question, I have to say. I don't have that particular plant, so I haven't had that particular experience. But normally when a leaf changes color and things like that, it's usually because of the lighting that's provided. So either it's too much light or too little light. So if I were you, I would just play around with the lighting conditions and see what happens either when you put it in lower light or in more light. Because again, I'm not sure what the light situation is in your home. A bit of a trick question. Next question. Next question's a funny one. It really had me laughing. It says, how is it possible for you to look so beautiful? And she says, look at you glowing. Oh, you guys are too funny and too cute and way too good to me. That's it. Way too good to me. Oh, thank you. Look, I think, how am I glowing? I love making plant videos. I love working with plants. I love talking about plants all day. So when I'm making a video, I guess I just glow from the inside because I like it. Corny, I know, but you know, I love it so much, you know, and I love getting to know all of you guys. I love how I'm learning so much. I don't think I've ever learned this much in my life. Okay, no, scratch that. There was a lot of learning at school and at university. But this is a different kind of learning. This is a nice kind of learning. That is my Hoya shepherdii. Shepherdii, tomato, whatever. That's what that is. She's absolutely beautiful. So thank you all for helping me maintain my glow. What kind of fertilizer? Oh, this one gets asked. Hang on, I'm almost done with my potting. This one gets asked all the time. This one is a Hoya bermanica. So this one is really just a cutting, right? There's no roots on there whatsoever. I'm going to chuck it in the Leca, see what it does. I'm going to put it in there, and it better be happy with its new home, because I'm not going to be happy if it's not happy. So I generally use Growth Technology Foliage Focus, and Growth Technology Foliage Focus is a 1-part nutrient, and that works really well for me because I don't like to complicate my life. A lot of people use Dynagrow Foliage Pro. A lot of people use General Hydroponics, the 3-part system, Bloom, Grow, something. And there's so many ones that you can use out there. And it's really dependent on what you feel comfortable using, but also what's available close to you. So one thing I suggest is go to a hydroponics shop that's close to you and ask them what they have available that you can use to grow foliage plants. And if you can't find the usual ones that I've mentioned, they will probably point you in the right direction, and you could find something that you can use, because there's so many out there that have got, that are more sort of only like people growing in the like cannabis industry kind of know about, because they're the ones who've really taken up growing hydroponically. But there's so much out there that you can find. I've got a friend who runs a hydroponic shop, and I'm hitting him up all the time, and he's constantly, recommending stuff to me that I'm using. And yeah, there's so much out there. So just go, ask, do your research, and find what's available for you and what works for you. Okay, hang on. There is my Hoya Burmanica. Put my Hoya Burmanica there. Next question. Are those earrings real? Back to the earrings. Yeah, duh. Of course they're not real, but I love them. I love them, and I know most of you do too. I'm in day 2 of using Leca, thanks to your videos. You're welcome. Any tips for an excited beginner? Oh my gosh, I was an excited beginner. I really, really was. And oh, shucks. Maybe just depending on how excited you are, I might tell you to just calm down a little bit, because I was so excited. I moved 2 plants from soil to Leca as my test plants, a Hoya and a spider plant. And within a few weeks, the change I saw in those plants just blew my mind. And I went out and bought myself a 50-liter bag of Leca, and I was just moving everything in sight. I did not have enough time over the weekend to move all the plants I had. It was insane. But that's me. I'm a bit crazy. But, I certainly wouldn't recommend, because I did have a lot of errors. I did go through a lot of plants, things that didn't work out, but I persisted. But if you want to have a more enjoyable process than I did, I would certainly recommend trying out with plants that you don't value as much, epipremnums, pothos, those kinds of plants, spider plants that you can easily find. Get to hone your craft, understand what it is you're doing, because it's very easy for me to stand here and tell you what I do, but my environment is different from yours. So you might do exactly what I'm doing and end up with a different result. But what that means is you haven't factored in your conditions. So you need to learn, take the time to learn that. And when you know and you're confident in what you're doing, break loose, go crazy. That's my advice. That's my 2 cents. This question really stumped me. It really did. Yeah, I'll read it for you. I'm having a problem with mice digging into my plants. What are they looking for? Am I allowed to say I don't know? I honestly don't know. I don't know. I don't have mice digging into my plants. I thank God, because mice freak me out. I just go absolutely mental. So I'm very sorry that I can't help you with your mouse problem. I would suggest, an exterminator or a mouse expert or something. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't even want to know. Ugh! But if someone out there does know, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear the answer. Next question. Is checking pH necessary? This is my Monstera aeropinata. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with this one, to be honest. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I might just put it in the Leca and just forget about it, because that's what I'm doing right now anyway. Is it necessary to check pH? Yes. It is absolutely necessary to check pH, for sure. Why? Because nutrients are absorbed at a spectrum of pH. So most plants want to be between a pH of about 5.5 to about 6. It can go higher, it can go lower depending on the plant. So you want to put your nutrient solution into your plant at that pH level, because if it's not, then those nutrients are not going to be absorbed, and then you're going to be thinking Leca's bad. But that's because you didn't do a good job of making up your nutrient solution, and your plant actually wasn't able to absorb the nutrients, because plants absorb the nutrients at each nutrient is absorbed at a specific pH. There's a lovely diagram that shows that concept very, very well. So it's really important to do this. Is it important to do this all the time? It depends. And I'll tell you why. Because I actually don't check my pH all the time when I'm just making a simple solution of foliage focus only. So if I'm doing foliage focus only, I don't check my pH. And the reason I don't check my pH is I used to check my pH. I check my pH all the time. And because I know that every time I check my pH and I'm just mixing foliage focus, it's exactly the same, then I don't do it again, because there's no point. I'm just wasting my time. But when I am putting things like silica, putting other additives, CalMag, things like that, those substances invariably change the pH. So you want to make sure that the pH of your solution is actually within those parameters. And in those cases, I always check the pH. And it's always off. It's either too high or too low. And then I have to put either the pH up or the pH down and adjust that pH to fall within that 5.5 to 6 range. So yeah, pH checking, yes and no, but mainly yes, depending on where you are. Please listen to the whole instruction, because it's one of those things that people get confused about. But it's really not confusing. It's just, if you've done it before, no problem. And checking the pH is actually quite easy. It's really, really easy. Not difficult at all. How low should the roots be in comparison to the nutrient solution? Okay, so this is your plant here, right? Your nutrient solution should be about there. The roots are up there. The nutrient solution should be there. You don't want the nutrient solution touching those roots, at least not at the beginning, not when the plant is still new and is still acclimating to the leca. Eventually, obviously, the roots will go down into the nutrient solution, and that's fine, because those roots are now used to living in that environment, and that's okay. But if you let that nutrient solution hit those roots right now, those roots are going to get root rot, because they'll have no oxygen. They're not used to living in that environment, and they're just going to cock it, and your plant will die, and you'll say leca is bad, and we don't want that. Next question. How long does it take for an Alocasia to grow a new leaf if the conditions are right? That's a bit of a trick question. Come on. I don't know. What do you mean if the conditions are right? It entirely depends on what those conditions are. Look, the answer is I just don't know. I don't know how long it takes. I think it depends on the season. It depends on, the conditions, as you said. It depends on the plant. I don't know. A new leaf will grow when a new leaf grows. I think probably the take-home message from this is just don't tiger parent your plants. Don't be a helicopter mom, I think. Just leave them alone to do their thing, and they will. Don't know. I've just bought Leca and will be using it for the first time. Well done, you. How do I get it ready for use? One of my favorite questions. So, what you will hear is, all you need to do is just wash your Leca for a little bit and it will be fine, right? You don't need to soak it. You don't need to do anything. Just wash it and you're fine. Okay, that's one way to do it. The best way to do it, I think, the best way to do it is you really want to make sure you're cleaning your leca properly. And by cleaning your leca properly is you're giving it a first wash where you're getting rid of all the dust and crud that's really at the top of the leca, right? That's really at the surface. And then you want to give it a soak. And when you give that leca a soak, you're going to have a lot of the crud that's within the leca balls coming out, and that's going to be in your water, and that's good. And then you chuck out that water and you give your leca another soak. And then you get more stuff coming out of your leca, and that's even better. And then you can do a final soak if you want, where you've got your nutrient solution in there. And that pushes even more stuff out of that leca, because as part of the manufacturing process of leca, there's a lot of, I mean, it's basically clay, right? Leca's clay. So you want to get rid of all that stuff. And I do have a video where I have described the ultimate method of cleaning your leca. And in this video, I actually show like the evidence of what happens when you soak your leca 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. So I'm not just talking. This is stuff that my good friend Eve actually did, and I literally just made a video out of it. So I take no credit for that whatsoever. But it just demonstrates to you how it's so important to just really give that leca a good wash. You're really only doing this the one time, right? Only when you're getting it out of the bag. So I would invest the time to just take the time to wash that leca properly so it can work at its best. Because you can imagine, I mean, the plant will live, it'll be okay, but that doesn't mean that it likes living in all that dirt. What does all that stuff that's coming out of the leca do to nutrient availability, for example? There's so many variables that you can actually get rid of by simply washing your leca the right way. And I certainly recommend that you do that. We are now at the end of my repotting, and I am going to put all my little babies, well, not all of them, the ones that can fit anyway. I'm going to put them in this propagation tub. And the only reason I'm doing this is I just don't have enough reservoirs for all of them. So these small little Hoyas are going to go in here. Oh, you go this way, darling. And that's until I can find them all reservoirs. What I love about, what I love about this propagation tub is that it's got a little lid. You can close that off, and that will, once you just close that, that raises the humidity in there really, really nice, and your plants are going to take really, really well. So I grab my special sauce and I put it in there. So that's good. That's at a good level. And I'll simply close that off. And that's my Hoyas all done and ready to be humidified. I'll put that in a nice warm bright spot, and that's them. That's them done. That's them living in leca now. The only problem with using this is that you do get a lot of algae buildup if you've got this in a grow tent or you've got some lights at the top, but otherwise it's a sweet setup. I love it. For these other babies, so I've got this one. These are too big. They're going to have to get reservoirs of their own. I will have to find those. I'll put those again in a bright warm spot and they will be loving it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me in my Q&A. I hope I answered all your questions. Check out another of my Q&As that I did a while ago, and I hope that's going to be interesting for you. I'll see you there.